What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Ben on Sports. And as you guys were probably expecting, it is another NASCAR weekly update episode. This week is the All-Star race. We're 12 out of 36 race points paying races through the NASCAR season, a third of the way through. 12 out of 26 regular season races, so just about halfway through the regular season. But the All-Star race isn't about it isn't about points, it isn't about standings, it's about cold hard cash and winning money. So, as usual, let's get into the storylines. So at the All-Star break, for the NBA and NHL, right, the All-Star break's a big thing. It's slightly over halfway. NASCAR, that's not the case. But I'm still going to kind of bring that element into it. So who are the title favorites? Well, the big obvious one that everybody knows and agrees, the best driver in the world, Kyle Larson. Obviously, big favorite. This weekend, he captured first place in the point standings after getting the maximum amount of points possible. I think Christopher Bell is there. Ryan Blaney, despite not winning a race, I think has been the fastest car. He just can't find his way to victory lane for one reason or the other. William Byron is always there. Now, I've only mentioned one Toyota driver. I think Toyota has enough speed to have put two or three guys in. I like Denny Hamlin. I think he needs to get a little bit more consistency. Tyler Reddick has fallen off, but Tyler Reddick's always there. But it's your usual suspects, right? I don't think there's really any surprises this year that are title favorites. Again, Larson, Blaney are my two favorites. Oh, Larson, Blaney, and Bell are kind of my three favorites. I like Byron, I like Elliott, I like Hamlin, but I kind of have those guys as Tier 1A and Tier 1B. Regular season champ. Well, I'm going to get into the point standings a little bit later when I give you this update, but like I said, Larson's there, Byron's there, Bell is there, and I don't know if anybody else is close enough unless they have an incredible next 14 regular season weeks, as well as some fall off from the guys in front of them. This is Fox's last race of the season, everybody. I know a lot of people are probably happy about that. Fox, longtime partner with NASCAR, but with the new broadcasting rights agreement, the coverage will be getting handed off to Prime Video for the next 10 races. Prime really is getting into sports coverage. I think they have some interesting graphics and additions and their other sports coverage that other networks and other broadcasts might not have. I'm interested to see if they do the same for NASCAR. They've been broadcasting qualifying. I'm interested to see what they do for the actual race. Second half breakout candidates, maybe some people who had a slow start or, you're not expecting, weren't expecting to do great coming into the year, but maybe people who have reason to believe that they could be really good in this second half. And I'm going to give you a couple that I like. Ryan Preece, he's been up front. He did get a penalty that hurt him a little bit. Right now, if the playoffs were to start today, he would barely make the playoffs. He's having the best season of his career early on with RFK Racing. Ryan Preece, maybe somebody that just needed an opportunity with better equipment. Carson Hocevar, a young driver. Everybody saw what he's done at the truck level, and I think he's finally starting to find some consistent footing. And I think that it's not just him, I think it's his team. Michael McDowell, his teammates, also having a great year. So Carson Hocevar, Ryan Preece. There are some guys that are maybe having career years, but I don't know if I consider them breakout years, things like that. I think those are my two main breakout candidates. But some other names to be mentioned that are probably performing better than expected so far. Somebody like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Bubba Wallace has started to kind of falter a little bit, but I still think he's having a quite good start to the year. Guys like that, keep an eye on the rest of the season. Road course ringers that can upset the apple cart. Now, I don't know how many of you guys know this, but I believe there's still 5 road courses left. And there's a lot of road courses left in the regular season where somebody can win and get their way in. So right now, actually, I don't know how many people know this. For every single race winner is at the playoff point in points. Josh Berry is kind of 16th, 17th, but everybody who's won a race is already in the playoffs. I think it's because some of the more chaotic races, normal contenders have won this year so far. But road course races are still around and can still offer some, or can still offer an element of chaos. So, who are some of those road course ringers that are outside of the playoffs that, assuming they get enough points or in a proper points place position, that can win and mess up what is currently looking like a not as controversial. I think it's always going to be slightly controversial with this format, but a not as controversial um, group of playoff drivers. Well, I'll tell you who. There's obviously always the the big elephant in the room, Shane Van Gisbergen, and you feel like if you give him 6-7 attempts at a road course in a season, he's bound to get one win. Can he get enough points where if he does win that road course race using his expertise, can he get enough points where it locks him into the playoffs? That's really the question for me. Look out for Shane Van Gisbergen. And the other road course ringers that have not won a race, that aren't really in the playoff picture on points, I would say Michael McDowell. He's won a road course race before. He's not bad on road courses, but he's, as you might find, you're going to come to find out later, point wise, he's not too far out. I still think that would count, though, because I don't know if he's actually going to be able to point his way in. So I'll put Michael McDowell on the list with Shane Van Gisbergen. Right now, somebody like Daniel Suarez is not really in the conversation on points. What happens with Daniel Suarez? Does he end up winning a road course? He has a win at a road course race that we have coming up. And I expect him to be fast at the Mexico City street race. Maybe Daniel Suarez is a road course ringer. Chris Buescher, who just got levied a massive penalty, can still point his way in. But that penalty definitely makes it a little bit more difficult. Maybe he can win even though he's far back. What I'm saying is, it doesn't feel like this year has been too chaotic. And a lot of the guys that have won races and locked themselves into the playoffs have also been consistently fast, somewhat, and at least are getting points. I do think that's going to change with these road courses. I think we're going to see some people we may not realize win road course races. Maybe even somebody like an AJ Allmendinger that I forgot to mention. Look out for these road courses through the summer. There's a lot of them coming through the summer leading up to the playoffs, and they can definitely throw a wrench into things. And as I said, Fox, their Fox coverage is ending. Prime coverage starting next week for the next 10 races, are 5 races maybe, and then it goes to TNT, and then it goes to NBC, another longtime broadcast partner. Favorites to an all-star event. So I have all different all-star events, and I have my top 3 candidates to win them. If you weren't understanding, the All-Star Open, right? The shorter race that happens before the actual All-Star race, where the top 2 drivers will race their way in. The All-Star race, remember, the only people locked in the All-Star races, race winners from 2014 and 2015. If you've won a race from 24, 25, you're in. If you are a full-time Cup Series champion, you are in. If you are a full-time driver that has won the All-Star race in the past, you are automatically in. If you are not in those categories, you are in the All-Star Open, and you have to race your way in. Now, there's also a fan vote out there. And those 2 things combined will place 3 drivers into the race. Who do I think is going to win the All-Star Open? I think the 3 top contenders are Bubba Wallace. Out of all the open drivers, he's consistently brought the most speed. He's the highest up in the point standings. Look out for Bubba. I think Carson Hocevar maybe brings some speed. It seems like that team is heating up. Will they stay hot at the All-Star race? And then Ty Gibbs, he's starting to get a little bit more consistent speed. Joe Gibbs is usually going to bring fast cars. And compared to the other cars that are in the Open, Ty Gibbs should always have one of the faster ones. Look out for him. Then in the fan vote, Bubba Wallace, one of the most hated drivers, but he's also very liked and has a lot more fans than a lot of the other people in the fan vote. Look out for Bubba Wallace. He was in the top 5 at the update. Noah Gragson, also somebody who was in the top 5 when they released the current top 5 drivers in fan vote. Noah Gragson, maybe he sneaks his way in there despite a what I would say has been a subpar season at this point. And then Carson Hocevar, maybe there's I think there's maybe some fans that haven't been as big of a fan of him after some of the things that happened this year. But I also think there's some I think he's a very polarizing driver. He's a very young driver. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hocevar, who's in the top five, make a run at the fan vote. And then somebody I want to talk about that I would have number 4 in the All-Star Open and number 4 in the fan vote that I think is a threat to win either. Ryan Preece. Like I said, I think he might be in the midst of a breakout season. He's a playoff contender, even if he does not win a race. He's very fast on short tracks. That's where he's made his career. Look out for Ryan Preece to win the All-Star Open, finish second in the All-Star Open, and look for him to be competitive in the fan vote. All-Star Pit Crew Challenge. The winning pit crew, I think, is still winning $100,000, right? Obviously, Bubba Wallace, his team has been the best team in so far in NASCAR on four tire pit stop average time. I would expect to see Bubba Wallace be and his pit crew absolutely be a contender to win the pit crew challenge. Secondly, Denny Hamlin. Joe Gibbs Racing pit crew, I believe, has won it the last 2 years. I would expect Denny Hamlin and his Joe Gibbs crew to be fast here in this challenge. And he's also has I believe, the third overall pit crew on time. And Kyle Larson. I just feel like him and his crew always turn it on when it matters the most, always turn it on when the lights are on. And I would expect Kyle Larson's crew to have their top 5 in average 4 tire speed. Kyle Larson's crew, pit crews are important. His pit crew knows that. His pit crew has had some very clutch moments. I look for Kyle Larson's pit crew to step it up a notch for the All-Star race. All-Star Manufacturer Challenge, brand new this year. My power ranking, Chevy, Toyota, Ford. I know Ford dominated and won it last year, and I think Ford maybe does the same thing again this year. I don't think Ford has the depth. I think Chevy and Toyota have more depth, or they're going to have more cars that are in the top 10 than Ford. And I think that might hurt Ford's average, although I also think Ford will have the least amount of cars in the race. But Chevy has the best and most consistent team in Hendrick Motorsports. Joe Gibbs Racing has the second. And I think Chevy might have just a tad bit more depth than Toyota. So I'm going to go Chevy, Toyota, Ford. I think Chevy and Toyota are a little bit ahead of Ford just because of the depth and the amount of teams they have. And then for the feature race where the money is made, the actual race, Kyle Larson's got to be the favorite, right? Won last week. He's fast on everything. He's the world's best driver for a reason. Denny Hamlin, I think this is a type of track he could excel at. And Joe Gibbs Racing is always fast. And then William Byron hasn't won anything in a while. There is 3 out of the last 5 years, the driver that's won the All-Star race has won the Cup Series championship. Sometimes this All-Star race means big things are in your future. Maybe this will finally be William Byron's year, and it'll start. Well, I guess it would have started with the Daytona 500 victory, but he hasn't won since then. Maybe the All-Star race gets them going in the right direction, even though they're second in points and haven't really been bad. Regular season standings. The first number is the amount of points the driver currently has. The second number is how far back of first. And as you can see, Kyle Larson and William Byron have kind of separated from the rest of the pack here. Obviously, this week really put Kyle Larson ahead. 35 points is doable. And really, if you're within 100-ish at this point, you have a chance. But it's going to take Kyle Larson falling off and you to race really good. But it certainly right now seems like it's a Kyle Larson and William Byron race. And maybe Christopher Bell, as he has, in my opinion at least, started to consistently bring it. He's starting to stack together good weeks. Maybe Christopher Bell can do it. Chase Elliott is 4th without any race wins. And Ryan Blaney's 5th without any race wins. So maybe if they start getting the victory lane, they will also be able to run them down. But I think this year the regular season standings are kind of getting a little bit separated already. And there's nothing wrong with that. But remember, I can't remember what the new number is. It used to have to be top 30 in point standings and a race win gets you into the playoffs. So all of these drivers, if they were to win, would still be okay. But this just shows you the difference between being a top-notch great driver, being, kind of a consistent playoff guy, and being a borderline guy. Larson already has double the amount of points as some of these playoff cut line drivers that are racing to be on the cut line, and we're only 12 races in. That shows you what a difference in speed and talent can do. Yeah, but maybe in a lot of people's eyes, the regular season champ race isn't as interesting as uh, the playoff race. Speaking of the playoff race, here's the current playoff standings, the current playoff race. If the season ended today, Kyle Busch would be missing it for the second year in a row. That's a big name. But for those of you who may be new to NASCAR or just need help understanding, everybody that is in yellow has won a race. They won a race. That means they are locked into the playoffs. And the numbers next to the guys that are locked into the playoffs are the amount of playoff points. So race wins and stage wins. Kyle Larson already has 23, Christopher Bell 16, Denny Hamlin 12, so forth and so on. And for the rest of these standings, if you see a number in parentheses, that is how many playoff points they have. Playoff points, very important to collect as the year goes on, as they get added on to you at the beginning of every round, and can help you get a nice, comfortable cushion over some of the cars behind you. But yes, Larson, Bell, Hamlin, Byron, Logano, Cindric, and Barry all are already locked into the playoffs, assuming they finish good enough in the point standings, which it certainly seems like none of them should have trouble doing. And then here, from Chase Elliott to Ryan Preece, 8 to 16. These are all the drivers that have not won a race but have pointed their way in. So if you see plus, that's how many points they are ahead of the cut line. So guys like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, I would say, are feeling quite comfortable in their point situation. And really, even Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain. Now, with 14 regular season races left, there's still plenty of time for this to change. But usually I say, even the most amount of points somebody can gain in a week is 61. Granted, that's if they win the race, and if they win the race, they're locked in anyway. But you can, best case scenario, and that's if like Bubba Wallace is finishing last, and the guy that's behind him, let's say like John Hunter Nemechek, is going stage win, second place with the fastest lap. You're going to be gaining around 50, 55 points on the guy in front of you. But that's absolute best case scenario. I think, the most you can really hope to do if you can get to that 10 to 20 range every week and then look for an opportunity to get a big week. That's why I'm like Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman. Those guys are always going to bring speed to a track. They're always fast and they have a big advantage. They should feel safe. I put Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and Chase Briscoe, and they should be safe, but too many race winners could put them in jeopardy or a cold stretch. But they have the talent, they have the cars and the speed, where those three guys should also make the playoffs. Which leads us to a bubble of Ricky Stenhouse, Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, John Hunter Nemechek, Carson Hocevar, and Michael McDowell, where I truthfully believe any of they're only the spread from 15 to 20 here is only 37 points, and for five drivers, that could be massive changes every single week in who's in and out. And AJ Allmendinger and Chris Buescher, who is super fast and got hit with the penalty, is also right outside of these guys. So there's this you could even continue out to like 30 points back, and it's like it goes up to like 24, 25th place, and 8 to 10 drivers. So there's a lot of drivers around the cut line that are going to be fighting each other the rest of the season. And if you're in this 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th place range, if you're those guys, you want to stay as far away from that madness and chaos as you possibly can. But the cut line looks like it could be absolutely brutal this year, which is why you want to win races. And who knows, 2 or 3 race winners that aren't expected could really, really shake up this playoff picture and really, really start to put the scare into some of these guys that feel like they are supposed to be safe. So keep an eye out on things like that the rest of the regular season. Now I have my driver power rankings to end the episode as usual. Larson and Byron, 1-2 in point standings. Who would have thought I'd have them first and second? And Kyle Larson won the race last week, leading a lot of laps. Christopher Bell had another good week, good stage points, good finish. Christopher Bell in third. Ryan Blaney, I think, maybe had something for Kyle Larson. Couldn't quite get up there, but it was a good week for Ryan Blaney for points. A good finish, still showing he has speed. Ryan Blaney, he's going to win a race eventually, especially if he keeps this speed. I think it's a matter of when and not if for him, for sure. Denny Hamlin, got stage points and then crashed out. Good thing he got them. Otherwise, I think he could have had a top 5 finish and could have stayed in the top 3, top 4 for me. But after wrecking out, he is going to obviously drop down a little bit. Chase Elliott, another guy who had 2 phenomenal stages, and then just finished outside of the top 10 after that mistake. But still somebody that's getting a lot of points and firmly in the conversation. Joey Logano, an okay week, 1-2 weeks ago. This has definitely been the best stretch of the season, the last couple of races for him. Can he carry the momentum through the summer? Tyler Reddick, another not a great finish at Kansas. Tyler Reddick having a rough couple weeks in a row, in my opinion. Tyler Reddick, 23XI, needs to get it back on track because I feel like their performances for both cars, or I guess all 3, but the 2 cars that have been in the playoffs, I feel like it's kind of dropping off for all of them. But Tyler Reddick, we know what he can do when it's going right. Alex Bowman, another okay week, and he's usually pretty good on all-star races, looking to build momentum if you're Alex Bowman, especially in such a good points position. Chase Briscoe with another top 5, and Chase Briscoe, I feel like either qualifies bad, doesn't get stage points, and then finds his way to a good finish, or qualifies well and then has a bad finish. I feel like this 19 team is so close to putting it together. They've had qualifying speed, they've had top 5s. They don't have a lot of stage points. Otherwise, I think they would be top 10 in points. But I don't feel like this 19 team is that far off from figuring it all out in their first season together. And I expect to see them to find victory lane at least once this season. Ross Chastain, still not a great week last week, which is why I had Briscoe jump him. But Ross Chastain and Trackhouse needs to find consistent speed from somewhere if they want to be they're a playoff contender. If they want to be a championship contender, that's what they need to do. Bubba Wallace, great start, starting to drop a little bit. Not a great result last week. That's why I dropped him. Still top 10 in points. He's still 10th in points. So obviously he's not in a terrible spot. But if you're that 23 team, you want to find a way to get some momentum and get these performances back to where you feel like they should be. Austin Cindric, I have him at 13th. Just, kind of an okay. He's still a race winner. He's still 14th in points, even with a penalty this year. Austin Cindric, maybe he's starting to heat up, and he ain't bad on road courses, guys. And there's still a lot of road courses. We could see Austin Cindric make a charge for top 10 in points in my mind. Josh Berry, good week, good stage points week, good finish. Josh Berry seems like he has something figured out at this 1.5 miles, which could be scary long term for this team. Josh Berry, maybe he has righted the course after those couple weeks being cold and not having good finishes. Chris Buescher, I would have threatened to have him in the top 10 after a top 10 this week, and he was good on points. Then he got hit with that penalty. It doesn't look like they're going to appeal, at least to me. Still not that far out of the playoffs on points, and you still got to think Chris Buescher is a threat to get in victory lane at some point. But he, honestly, I thought about dropping him lower, but I'm going to leave him at 15 because he still is fast, and he still is very much in threat, or still very much a threat to make the playoffs. Ryan Preece, hanging out around the playoff cut line, had a much better day and finish today. Ryan Preece, I'm telling you, it might be breakout year time for Ryan Preece. Definitely a threat to do so. Good finish last week, or starting to stack them, right? I will think that he could be a sleeper in the All-Star race. And if he can keep momentum at the All-Star race, for some reason, guys who get momentum there, who do well there, seem to do well the rest of the year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another guy that's flirting with the playoffs on points, and I don't know if Ricky Stenhouse has really ever done that in his career. He's, maybe not having race winning speed, but he's finding ways to do enough to stick around in the points race. And everybody knows Ricky Stenhouse is always a threat to win a super speedway race. I would be concerned that Ricky Stenhouse, not historically a great road course racer, and with all the road courses up, that could mean disaster incoming. John Hunter Nemechek with 2 good finishes in a row. Feel like Nemechek is a roller coaster this year. A couple good weeks, a couple bad weeks. Couple good weeks, a couple bad weeks. He's still in the hunt point-wise. who knows? Maybe he'll make the playoffs for the first time. Kyle Busch thought he was going to have a much better day than he did last week. Had a bad finish. Needs to rebound. At some point, he's got to break this winless streak. I think he will. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I know he's not going to go out without winning. Without winning a couple races. I know if Kyle Busch, if it's the same Kyle Busch that everybody grew up with, I certainly think that he's going to make a push for 70 career wins. Carson Hocevar staying in the top 20 at the last position. Maybe not as good of a week as he wanted or thought he could have had. Still not awful. Carson Hocevar, again, I think is a legitimate threat to continue a breakout, get hot over the summer, maybe win a race because there's been some tracks where Spire's been super quick. And even if they don't win, definitely a threat to collect points and find himself in position to make the playoffs. Thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your days, weeks, and lives for listening. Let me know your NASCAR All-Star Weekend hot takes in the comments below. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And with your predictions, let me know predictions on the All-Star race, all of the events that are happening. Let me know who you want to win the fan vote, or even tell me what some things you're expecting to see the rest of the year. Have a good sports watching weekend. NBA, NHL playoffs are heating up. We're getting close to knowing who the final four teams are going to be in each league. The PGA Championship is this weekend if you're a golf guy or girl. Again, thank you for taking time to listen. It means a lot. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you're enjoying the NASCAR series. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Keep yourself safe. Keep your family safe. Find an excuse to watch sports this weekend. Peace out.